Good morning, and thank you for joining me for this midweek reflection from Holy Saviour Church in Hitchin. I wonder, are you a peoply person, or do you see yourself someone who's more of a loner? I guess the reality is most of us are both of those things at different times according to circumstances and particular needs. But we all need companionship, and that was never more true when we all lived through the really difficult episode of the pandemic a few years ago. It is necessary for most of us to be alone sometimes. The soul requires solitude in order to maintain its individuality. But we couldn't live like that all the time. We'd go completely mad. The fact is, we are interdependent. We all need each other. We need other people in our lives. We need them for support. We need them for affirmation. We need other people for encouragement and for companionship. Other people nourish us. They sustain us in all sorts of different ways. And in turn, we nourish them as well. We live in a time that's very, very individualistic. And a result of that is that often people find community quite difficult. There is perhaps more isolation, more loneliness in our time than there was before any time before us in human history. And many people are searching or crying out for a friend. They're crying out for a companion, for a sense of belonging. And the word companion is a lovely little word. It comes from two Latin words, cum, which means with, and panis, which quite simply means bread. So a companion is literally a person with whom I might share my bread. If you think about it, it's not everybody you would want to share a meal with. It's not everyone that you would have a cup of tea with or go and have a glass of beer in a pub with. There has to be a little bit of a bond in the first place. But the bond is then deepened by the sharing of food and drink. When other people invite us to their table, they offer us something much more than food. They offer us trust and welcome, and most of all, friendship. And that feels like a great honour to us. And the talk is as much a part of what's on offer to us as is the food or the drink. And afterwards, we feel nourished, not just physically, but nourished in our heart, nourished in our spirit. A couple of weeks ago in this slot, Jean was talking to us about the Feast of Corpus Christi, the institution of the body and blood of Christ, the Eucharist, the Holy Communion. And the Eucharist is the meal where we share in God's memory, and we do so at his command. And by inviting us to partake of this sacred food, Jesus makes us his companions and his friends. And in doing so, we ought to become companions and friends to each other. But I wonder, does this always happen? It's quite possible nowadays to drive to church in your car, to slip away afterwards very quickly, and to not really make any contact with anybody. And when you do so, I wonder, have you really truly been part of the Christian community? You might have met God in some sense, but have you actually met your fellow Christians, your neighbours? The two realities are linked, being in communion with Jesus so that we can be in communion with each other. A person could be really broken and nobody would know, nobody would care. Building community is not all that hard. It just takes very ordinary friendliness. And the first step is simply being present and being acquainted with people. I wonder if we could go into that room where Jesus ate the Last Supper with the apostles. I dare say we'd immediately get that sense of powerful bonding. Here was a group of companions who were sitting around a table sharing a meal. Sometimes in our churches people might sit as far apart from each other as possible. I wonder, why is this? Perhaps there's a reluctance for us to meet each other. And if we don't meet, we can't really share. What we give to each other here, we get back 100-fold. But if we give nothing, we won't really receive anything. We need Christ, and that much is obvious. But we also need each other. And to be a believer, or just a spiritual person in today's world, can sometimes feel like a lonely business. And that's why community and companionship are so important. We are a community of believers whose common faith strengthens the faith of each and every individual. Our hymn for today: Brother, sister, let me serve you.